Thursday, 29th of March 2023. In this evening's show, we are once again joined by our knobber friend, Tom Harrison, who will be helping us preview Saturday's huge Lancashire derby, West Lancs derby rather, with both teams needing to score 3 vital points for different reasons and, most importantly, local bragging rights. I'm John Aspinall, and this is Seaside's podcast match review preview show, PNE v Blackpool. It's the big one, fellas and ladies. It's the big one.
With a great tradition.
Welcome everybody back to the Seaside's podcast. Been off air for a couple of weeks. Welcome everybody on the stream. Quickview, Lancashire Productions, MB, Dave Dixon, Steve Rowley, Rocky, Matthew Warren and Pete Griffiths. Welcome everybody on the audio pod if you're listening afterwards. And welcome Tom. You've got good of you to come back again. It's like having an old friend back in the room.
Yeah, I'm suffering this week after a defeat last Sunday, unfortunately, in the PNE versus Blackpool golf event that we hosted in at Shaw Hill in Chorley. So I've been told not to come back to Preston. I've been ousted. I'm not allowed to go back after losing face to a team of Blackpool fans and players. If anyone hadn't seen it, the former Blackpool players were Kevin Moore, Phil Horner, Paul Gardner, Gordon Simonite, Peter Nicholson and Mark Bradshaw, and then various fans taking on some former Preston players to remember a Preston fan that died a few years ago. And sadly, we were roundly trounced on our own turf, unfortunately. So the shield has come up this end of the M55, sadly, for the next 12 months. So, but thanks everyone that supported that day. It was good fun, played in good spirits. So hopefully we can see the same on Saturday.
Who were the Preston players?
We had
anyone we've heard of?
Neil McDonald.
The Neil McDonald.
I'm sure you're familiar with Neil. Andrew Lonergan, again linked to you lot. I think he came on loan to you back in the day. Ian Bryson, Lee Cartwright, Barry Nicholson, who's down the road at Fleetwood. Joe Garner was meant to play, but unfortunately was injured at Gillingham on Saturday playing for Carlisle, so had to drop out. But we managed to recruit Peter Finch of social media YouTube fame. So he joined Team Preston and he faced up against a Blackpool pro, Andrew Richardson, and they fought out a very good draw between their match, one of the only half points that we managed to achieve. But it was good fun. It was really good fun. So hopefully we can repeat that in the next 12 months. It'd be good to see. Yeah, irrespective of the division that you're in. So
that's an opening foray across the bow, I think, Tim, isn't it?
It sounds like it, doesn't it? The question is, if we dick him on Saturday, who's going to lose the job first, Tom or Mr. Lowe?
Well, it's been a very peculiar season. It feels like the longest season of all time. You've probably seen that meme doing the rounds of Conte and Tuchel and the kickoff that they had at Chelsea, and that's from this season. I thought that was from about 2-3 years ago, but apparently that to-do that they had on the touchline where they were shaking hands, wouldn't let go, was from this season. It's with obviously the World Cup and everything. It seems to have been dragging on forever. It probably feels like a lifetime for you with the lack of wins that you've obviously seen. But I think everyone will be thankful of this season being over. It's been really odd, considering we sit 12th in the table. There's a real anger, I think, from Preston fans towards the club, towards the owners, towards our motor-mouth manager, unfortunately, who to quote Top Gun, tends to write quotes his body can't cash. And unfortunately, he's promised fast-flowing football and we're going to romp the division. And it's been terrible watch at Deepdale. It's really been poor. But if you look at our away form, I think we're third or fourth in the league for away form. So it's been really strange, because someone said on the local radio recently, if you'd have switched that around, if you'd have taken that as home form, and you'd have struggled away from home, would you be happy with that? And you probably would. I think, unfortunately, the home fans have seen some really poor football and just no desire to go at teams at home, which flies in the face of what he said he wants to do. So it's as I said, it seems strange moaning when we're 12th and objective of staying in the division has been achieved. But I think the start of the season, play your part. We're going to attack the division. We're going to do what we can. Hasn't materialised, and everyone's become really fed up with it. But I imagine you'd be happy to swap for places.
A big question is, have you fixed the roof yet?
I think that's going to be dealt with in the summer. Our good friend Peter, I'm sure, is well across that issue. I'm sure he's finding quotes via text message as often as he can at the minute. But it's in the home end, the roof, so we're the ones that will get wet on Saturday with the forecast, not you.
Maybe you shouldn't have reclaimed the town end after all.
Absolutely, yeah. The 30th anniversary this Saturday, so I'll get in there first. We've got balloons, and we're gonna get flags and banners up, and it's really the Blackpool relegation party. Let's be honest, that's what it is. We're celebrating our good friends and neighbours down the road being relegated back to League One. So you can't blame us for wanting to have a bit of a party.
I'm old enough to remember standing on the town end. I can't remember. Did we stand on the town in the late 80s as well? But I remember doing it in
early
82.
Mike Davis's famous goal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the ones. We were still in there, weren't we? So my first ever game there.
That's when they had that cheating plastic pitch as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the Cop was the place where the home fans were, and Townend was very much for the away fans. And it was I think it was John Beck in about 92, 93 that reclaimed it, and it became a really good end. And obviously now that's where a lot of the majority of the home fans go. But the Cop is going to be split next week. On Saturday, so you'll be housed in one corner, and then the Barmy Army Preston fans will be alongside you in the other corner, with a bit of segregation in between.
What the ticket sales like, Tom, for the home fans?
I think we're up to about 17.5, 18 home fans. So I think you've got just over 2, haven't you? So the capacity is reduced from 23 down to about 20 with segregation and various safety bits and pieces. There'll probably be a few segregated in the pavilion by the away fans. So we're probably losing about 3,000 seats.
So they won't be right next to the away fans then, as the pavilion stand.
On the pavilion, no. I think they'll go as far as they can, but I think they've blocked off, or there'll be some tarpaulin or whatever down, giving a bit of room.
They spoil all the fun, don't they?
Absolutely.
You're taking a few things of helium gas with you to get your balloons pumped up in the morning.
No, I think they'll be prepared. They're sustainable balloons, apparently, so no one can criticise us for pollution. Fully sustainable. So, but it's going to be a party, so you've got to have balloons at a party, obviously.
Do you not think it's a bit lame that you've got to kind of manufacture an atmosphere for the Blackpool Preston derby?
I think we're just adding to the atmosphere. I wouldn't say we need to manufacture it. I thought there was a good atmosphere in the home game last season. Obviously, we won, and it helped. But we're in the modern day, aren't we? We like to try and promote as much as we can. We like to try and generate a good atmosphere. And if balloons help, so be it. If not, then
clapsticks as well. Happens. Get them down.
There's no clapsticks.
Get them out of retirement.
Categorically say there is no clapsticks on Deepdale unless you want to bring any yourself. You're more than welcome to do so.
Right, the game itself then. I was just looking at a few facts about the game, and it's actually obviously it kicks off at 12:30. So, Nick, do you think that'll have a dampening effect on the atmosphere? It's not ideal, is it? Because
no, there's not much time for people to have much merriment in the pub beforehand, is there? And I think, early kickoffs do tend to be a bit flatter in atmosphere. I think for us, it just depends how we set up and and how we're playing. We certainly can't be going there for operation 0-0 or to try and get a draw. We've got to go for it. So hopefully that will help. But from what Tom was saying, they've not been great at home this season. Did you say just before we came on we've got identical home
We have.
records near enough, which I was
As
amazed
crazy
at.
as it sounds, we have identical home records: 5 wins, 6 draws, 8 losses, 21 points each. We're actually below you. Wigan are bottom of the home form table. We're 23rd, you're 22nd. It's our away form where we lie about 4th with 32 points that has pushed us up the table. I think if we hadn't had that, I think Lowe would have gone by now with our home form. So
Yeah.
it's startling that there's almost 20 points between us, and that's purely down to our away form.
So what do you think's the difference between your home and away form then, Tom? Do you set up to just sit back and catch teams on the breakaway, and then do you do the same at home?
Ryan Lowe plays 3-5-2, and he'll play 3-5-2 until the day he dies. He's not going to change from that formation. He played that at Bury. He played that at Plymouth. He's played that throughout his time at Preston. He tried 4-4-2 against Norwich, and we were 3-0 down inside 25 minutes. So I can't see him going back to that anytime soon. And it's just been very flat. We've got wing backs that aren't really wing backs, that don't attack. So it tends to be more of a 5 at the back than a 3. And it's just really defensive. We're sat there, and probably the opposition are sat there as well. And the games have been absolutely terrible. Whereas away from home, we can probably get in a bit easier behind teams, and the onus is on them to come at us. And we are solid. We're a solid team. So if we can keep things tight for 60 minutes and then pinch a goal, I think that's why we've been able to do well away from home. We've had some good away wins. We won at Blackburn, beat them quite heavily 4-1. So we've had some good away wins, but at home we've not been convincing at all. I think we've only won, the highest we've won is 2-1 from memory. 2-0 recently the Cardiff win. So, but I mean they were dreadful. But apart from that, it's been absolutely dire to watch at Deepdale. So I've no doubt it'll probably be a terrible watch on Saturday morning for the nation on Sky.
They generally
sadly.
are these games, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're generally very tight affairs. And we're playing Mick ball, you're playing this what it sounds like, very defensive 5 at the back. I think, Tim, there's only one way this is going to go, and it's going to be an extremely tight affair. But one omen that I have noticed, it's been refereed by Andre Mariner, who was in charge for a very special day in our history.
I didn't know that. I'm just actually looking in the notes as I came in. So that's the Southend game you're going back to, is it? Which game? Or the Premier League? Which game is he on about that he refereed?
Is it the return to when you all returned? Was he that manager of that game? Wembley.
Yeah.
Wembley in 2021?
Do you not know?
No.
Andre Mariner blows the whistle and Blackpool FC are in the Premier League. Yeah, okay. Thought you were a Blackpool fan, Tim. Oh, well.
The Premier League, so he did it in 2010, did he? God.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, well. I'm sad. I'd had a few libations that day, John. I wasn't too...
You don't regularly take notes of the referee, do you?
No, not from 13 years ago, anyway.
Yeah.
I suppose the other thing is, of course, with it being on Sky, I mean, that's like the kiss of death for us, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I cannot remember. Can anybody remember a decent performance when we've been on Sky in living memory, other than playoff finals?
When we played
playoff semi-finals,
I think we beat Scunthorpe 4-2.
Yeah, that was that in 2009 or 2010.
We beat Northampton once in that,
something like that. Yeah.
Purple kit. That was quite a good game. 25 years.
Oh, Nick, you're going back even further, aren't you? To when Grayson first took over as manager, aren't you? The Scunthorpe one. Is that the one you're on about? When Bellicon was there.
That's
we are going back a long way, Tom. So
we tend to be very poor.
That's got to be worth a 1-goal head start to you lot. The fact that it's live on telly.
We don't seem to have fared much better on Sky, to be honest. And I think we were on against Blackburn, but then you're going back to probably Wembley in 2015 for what I would say is a convincing victory on Sky, apart from the midweek ones when you're on the red button. Yeah, we don't tend to fare too well on there.
In the run up to the game, then I've been looking at the PNE police account, and one thing that irritated me. They've called one of the PNE police called it the A Up Classico. You know, like a pun on El Clasico. It's like, who from Blackpool says A Up? Who from Preston says A Up? No one.
Well, he's a Scouser, so PNE police is a Scouser, so maybe he's misunderstood.
Well, they've drawn a map anyway. I was looking out for a Dad's Army theme tune.
Where all the buses going to be parked for 4 hours after the match?
Yeah, so just people listening on the audio pod.
That's the Shankly and the Invincible. So that's the corner where you go in where it says control area, and the blocking off all the way up Lowthorpe Road up to the top, which means I'll have to walk a different way, which is frustrating. And then they'll block at the edge of the Invincibles so that you can't get down the Lowthorpe Road down to the Preston car park as well. But they did that against Wigan a few weeks ago. They did the same.
Last time we played last year, though, that cordon one, which is for the benefit of the audio pod, is the stand behind the goal. It's sort of halfway down, roughly where the split was. People got through that, didn't they? And that's what caused part of the problem, why there was such an inordinate delay. I mean, I don't think we left Deepdale till about 11 o'clock at night, if I remember rightly. It might even have been later than that.
Yeah, because they normally line up the coaches along and past where that blue line cordon one is down there, because unless they're going to move them and run them right up to the top of Lowthorpe Road up to where it says cordon 2, which they might do, then they can keep everything within those blue lines by the looks of it.
So are they actually, with these cordons, they're going to just basically stop anyone from leaving?
I suspect they will have police vans parked across and then a line of police officers. That's what we saw against Wigan.
How long were they in situ for, Tom?
I don't know, because I disappeared down. So where cordon 3 is, I'm heading down there anyway. I'm not even walking up towards there, so I'm going round a different way. So I was heading home, unfortunately. So I can't. They've
said they may keep us about 15 minutes if it's felt necessary. Of course, they can't say it beforehand because it breaches human rights allegedly. So, but that's what's going to happen, isn't it? We're going to be kept back, and which is it. To be fair, I have no problem with that because that's what they should do with Preston fans at the home games, and they've up to now they've appeared reluctant to do. But it is a bit difficult getting away from Preston, I think, because obviously it's such a large thoroughfare, isn't it? The Deepdale Road itself, that whichever way you go, whether you take the coaches right or left, you're potentially going to come across flashpoints, aren't you?
Yeah, because if you go left at cordon 2, it's going to take you past Sainsbury's and past the park, where there'll be a large contingent of fans walking. If you go right, it'll take you up to Deepdale Retail Park, and a lot of people park up there anyway. So that's probably the way that they will drive the coaches out. I don't know which way they will go after the game, but
apologies. Apparently, you were kept back last game. I didn't realise. I think I'm obviously just referencing the year before where we had chaos after the end of the game, didn't we?
In October.
Well, no, I think I was referencing last season. There's somebody in the comments there just said you're actually kept back 30 minutes this season after the game, which I hadn't realised. I was too busy celebrating.
I don't think all of them were. I'm not so sure. There was certainly a few about.
Oh, I was on my way out of the door as soon as the third goal hit the net. I was not hanging around for the
because there was that footage, wasn't there? That the Preston fans had turned up at Blackpool South, and there was nobody there, was there? There was no police there at all. And
after they were told to go to the train station, and they got there, and there was no police, and obviously there was those unsavoury scenes that everyone's seen. But
the biggest potential flashpoint for home and away fans meeting at Blackpool South train station, there was no police presence whatsoever, and there was just a load of them just stood
And there was the
staring at
biggest,
the
and actually in the town, there was a huge presence, and they were everywhere but where they should have been.
Yeah.
It's quite laughable, really, if it wasn't.
We all know what's happened with Tony, so I think everyone just needs to take a step back and think about what happened there, and let's just hope nothing stupid goes on after the game.
I said at the outset that we played in that golf event on Sunday, and it was played in the best possible spirits. Everyone was desperate to beat each other, but we had a great crack. I played against Mark Bradshaw. He was telling me about his time at Poole and who he used to car share with, and Trevor Sinclair, etc. And then afterwards, we all sat down and we had a beer and we had a laugh and a joke. And they obviously beat us, but I didn't see any fisticuffs on the green. So hopefully that'll carry through until Saturday.
It's just a game of football at the end of the day. An
Absolutely.
important one, but it's just a game of football. Right, let's move on to injured, suspended players and squad, because this is a bit of an eye-opener when I've got this graphic up. Preston's injured and suspended players are Diaby, Greg Cunningham and Emil Rees. So they've only got 3 out. Blackpool have Tribal, Lavery, Ekpiteta, Bridcut, Stewart, Thornley, Medine and Good out, but I think Jordan Thornley may be playing according to reports today. But if you look at that graphic, Nick, it's quite telling. This has been a constant throughout our season, a mixture of injuries and suspensions. And if you look at down that list, there you could argue that every single one of those players could make the starting 11 if fit.
Yeah, it's been the story of the season, hasn't it? It's been that number and more. Some of those players haven't kicked a ball for us. We're down to Jerry Yates up front. Good news that Thornley will be back, because I think without him, it'd have been a bit of a struggle. It's a worry though that I think that's the 3rd time he's had concussion this season. Mick McCarthy said he's fine yesterday, I think it was. He's come through all his tests, but you just never know, do you?
Do you think it's because he's a bit on the small side for a centre back, and that he's some way that he's more prone to it than if he was a bit bigger? Because it's a worrying statistic, isn't it?
It is. I mean, you don't know. You see it once maybe, but not 3 times in a season. I've not known that before, and it is a worry. So we'll just have to see how he goes, because I'm sure if he is fit, then he will start, because he's had a reasonably decent partnership going there at centre half. So fingers crossed he does start for us. But yeah, I mean, I think we said on the last pod, you look at some of those names, and if they'd have featured a bit more, then I dare say, we probably wouldn't be in the position we are. I'm not saying we'd be up at the other end of the table, but we'd probably be 4 or 5 places higher than we are at the moment. But that's just the way it's been. I've never known so many hamstring injuries, and I know they said at the fans forum that there's a lot of teams in that position, but it's never just a tweak when we get these hamstring injuries, is it? It's never, it'll be 4 weeks, he's okay. It's full on. It'll be. It's not even 8 weeks for us, is it? It's more like 12. And it's just been a crazy season, that's for sure.
Tom, how much of a miss will Cunningham be? And obviously Emil Rees, we know about him as well. So I think Cunningham's probably one of your best defenders as well, isn't he?
Well, it's funny because we started the season with sort of a back 3 of Story, Liam Lindsay, and Andrew Hughes, and they went through that spell of not conceding many goals for very long, for such a long period of time. As the season's gone on, Andrew Hughes has been in and out of the side through injury. Greg, to be fair to him, has come back in and he's performed really, really well. Him going off injured in October at your place is probably the reason why we lost that game, in my opinion. We seemed very comfortable. We'd got that level, and I think we were looking dangerous at going ahead, and he came off and we fell apart for 10 minutes and you took the game away from us. But the big surprise has been Bambo Diaby in the last probably 6 to 8 weeks, who if you'd have asked me in October after he came on whether I want to see him in a Preston shirt again, I'd have said categorically no,
he was
never.
shite, wasn't he, in the Derby
Yeah,
game? Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
He came on to replace Greg. They moved Lindsay from the centre of the back three, and we were just all at sea for 10 minutes. And he had a shocker. Yates turned him inside out. But the last 6 to 8 weeks, he's become a bit of a cult hero at Preston. He's putting in these amazing performances. We call him a bit of a bomb scare because he's frightening on the ball. He's got a major rick in him, but he's got this pace. You've seen the size of him. He's absolutely massive. He reminds me of Claude Davis when we used to have him, that he's just got the intangible assets to probably be able to succeed, but then he just loses concentration for a minute. And he's been sort of a mainstay for the past sort of 6 weeks. So I think he's a bigger loss on Saturday than probably Greg is. And I think we'll probably end up going back to Lindsay, Story and Hughes, depending upon whether Hughes is back fit, because he tends to have a run of games and then he misses. The big one, I think, is Ched Evans, who's not on your list, who has been out recently. He's back training, but they're monitoring him, and I don't know whether he's going to be available on Saturday. I think we hope he is. He's a bit of a talisman, which seems strange, a 34-year-old from Fleetwood Town that we signed, but he's really turned himself around this season, and he's earned himself a new contract. And I think he's close to 10 goals.
9. Yeah, he had a real goal drought, didn't he? And
yeah, he did.
When he first started to bang them in, though, 9 goals.
It was about 18 months, and then he scored at Reading, and he sort of scored important goals when we've needed them. Coincided with losing Reece to season-ending injury when he was injured at Stoke. But since the last time we played you, we've got 2 new strikers. We've brought in Delap from Man City, who is what's his name? His dad was Rory. Liam Delap. So Rory Delap is his dad.
His lad. Has he got a good throw?
No, he's awful. He's at Manchester City, but I don't know how. He's absolutely dreadful. But young Tom Cannon from Everton, has really started to turn on in the last few weeks and has formed quite a good partnership with Ched. He's got 3 goals in about his last 5 games. He looks a finisher. He's got something about him. He's a bit like mini Ched almost. He puts himself about, and you can see he's growing in confidence. And I see he scored a goal midweek for the either the 20. I think it's the 20s. He played for the England under-20s. So if him and Ched are up front on Saturday, then that'll be a big plus to start the game with.
Is he your potential danger man then?
I'd say so. I think Cannon. Evans is sort of the talisman at the minute, but I think Cannon is in form. He's scoring goals. I think the midfield will probably be Brown, Johnson, and Whiteman. Sort of Alan Brown and Daniel Johnson have come back into form over the past few weeks, and they're back in the side, the old mainstays. And then I'd probably suggest it'll be Brad Potts playing right wing back again.
Lovely stuff.
I don't know. I think he's had a bit of a pop at you today in the press, actually.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I don't know who's going to play left wing back, whether it will be Fernandez, the lad from Manchester United, or whether he'll go with Robbie Brady. Brady's been away midweek. Fernandez had been playing really well, and he's the genuine player of quality, someone that gets you off your seat, someone that can go past people. The manager took him out recently just to give him a bit of a rest. Why a 19-year-old needs a rest, I don't know. But I hope he plays because he's exciting. And, we're not going to get relegated. So why not go for it? And Brady's been away with Ireland midweek. So maybe he'll go with the lad that's had a bit of a rest. But we'll see. It has been a bit low bingo on the starting 11 until he's sort of settled on something. The last sort of 6 to 8 games where we've only lost 1 in the last 8, albeit that was last time out when we got smashed at Middlesbrough.
So yeah, form wise, I was just looking at it before. Your last 4 games, lost 4-0 to Middlesbrough, as you've just said, won 2-1 away at Rotherham, beat Cardiff 2-0 and 2 draws against Watford, Coventry. Tim, we're 1 win in 4. That anomaly against QPR, 3 defeats and a creditable draw against Burnley. So we're in funny form, aren't we?
We are. I think Coventry's the one that where it probably isn't quite reflective of the way we were playing until, as Tom calls him, Flapswell decides to gift Coventry a goal. I felt we were very much in the game, and I'm hoping that McCarthy isn't going to sort of throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, by thinking that system can't work because of what actually happened in a very short space of time against an informed Coventry as well. So I'm trying to remain positive, but the raggy aid is running a bit low as the games run out. So let's hope. We need to pull a random win from somewhere, and whether it comes this Saturday or not, I don't know. But we know the games we've got to win at home, but we do need something different. Something that we're not expecting, and bear in mind how friendly Preston have come towards Blackpool based on what Tom's telling us about the golf. Maybe they can roll over and have the tummy tickled on Saturday for us. We need something, don't we? Because it's like the doomsday clock's virtually hitting midnight for us.
Although everyone's losing points, aren't they? Reading are going to get 6 points taken off them tomorrow, apparently.
Yeah, it's a bit of a worry when that's what we're relying on, though, isn't it? That points deductions to try and keep us up. But
so what
just
will
going back
that
to the
take?
Coventry game, John. Laura Wilson's mentioned it about the officials as well. That could have been a very different story. I know they were a very good side, Coventry. Don't get me wrong, but if the ref makes those two big decisions correctly, then it could have been a very different outcome. It's a red card, a second pen. I don't know, thought, well, I've given one, I can't give another. And you look at who
even Robin said they got away with one.
He did, and when the manager of the opposition saying it, you can say it's we're not looking at things through tangerine tinted
if you look at
glasses.
Nick, if you look at the red cards we've had against us this season, how that is not a red card.
No, and you look at the player it was as well for them, Gyökeres. He's the main man. You take him out of the game, and it could have been different, but like I say, that they're still a decent side, but it could have been different.
You don't tend to get them down the bottom of the league, do you? Those decisions.
No, it's funny, isn't it? You do say when it's up against you, and you're on a poor run, you don't get them. When it's the other end of the table, you do seem to for some reason. But yeah, it was a bit frustrating.
We'll have a quick chat about the Coventry game once Tom's gone. Let's just have a quick look at the recent games between the two sides. Head to head, it's quite finely poised. If you look at the graphic there, Blackpool 4, Preston 2, Preston 1, Blackpool 0 in 2022. Blackpool 2, PNE 0. Obviously that one in 2021 was the big fat boo, wasn't it? And 2013... that was the Tom Clark goal.
Yeah, the League Cup
Cup, yeah. It's when I looked at this graphic, so it's actually quite sad that we've not played each other that much, really, over the last decade. And
looks like we won't again after this next one.
Yeah, so this game itself, then, what's everyone's gut feel then?
Well, I think I said when I came on before the last game at Deepdale that we will probably go backwards and forwards with results at home. You'll win the games at your place. We'll probably win the games at our place, and that's the way it seems to be panning out. So I hope that we can do the job on Saturday. You really need to win, and if you want it more than us, if our lads are thinking they're on the beach with 8 games to go, then you could do a job. I'd like to think that we're professional and that we understand how much it means to the supporters. Even if you went down, we couldn't tolerate losing to you twice in one season. We'd never hear the end of it. But it is very much win or bust time for you. You've got 6 games left. What do you need? Probably 4 wins to stay up, maybe. So 4 out of 6. You've got to win on Saturday, really, to get that going.
Yeah,
that's the thing, and we've got to turn up, haven't we? We didn't massively last season. It was just an abject performance. So we've got to be up for it. And like I said earlier, we don't need draws, do we? So he's kind of got to go for it, whether that's his management style, his preference or not. We've got to go there and try and win the game. The worry is if we don't turn up, Preston won't need to get out of second gear to beat us, because we've seen that so many times this season where the opposition is average, but they've only needed to be average. You know, they've not needed to turn it on particularly, and they'll have a routine win. You know, we're getting close to drinking the last chance saloon, aren't we? With the number of games left, so we've just got to start going for it. That's
you had me shitting myself then, thinking there was only 6 games left.
Sorry, there's
Thank
8.
God,
There's 8.
Yeah. Oh my God, 6. We've got no chance.
Yeah. Long day. Sorry.
Yeah.
You got to win half your games realistically, and that might not be enough, but
probably won't.
I think there is. I think Reading end up playing Huddersfield and Wigan, and there's some really interesting matches where everyone's playing everyone. So 45 points might be enough to stay up, but that's still that's still 3 wins and draws, isn't it, for you? So
Reading will look at a 6-point deduction, are they? Because they're on 4.
Yeah, so I think they'd go level with Cardiff. They go down to 39 points. They obviously got only got a worse goal difference, haven't they?
Cardiff and Rotherham have got to replay as well, haven't they?
Yes, yeah, they've decided that they're not going to continue from. I think were they 2-0 up Cardiff. They're not going to continue from the score 1-0 or 2-0. They're just going to replay the entire game, which Cardiff are upset about. Apparently,
I'm not surprised.
Well, when you see the Rotherham groundsman pulling water back onto the pitch,
that was brilliant.
Fair play, the dark arts.
There's a Preston fan where I work, Liam. We were having a chat today at lunchtime, and I was saying to him, "Do you think, obviously, as Tom, as you were just saying, then you'd like to think that the players would be up for it, knowing how important it is to the both sets of fans. But do you think in this day and age it really means that much to the players, given the fact there's very few local players on either side? I'll wager it doesn't really matter to them as much as to us, and it always helps if there's a local boy in the team as well, I find.
I mean, the managers put the sound bites out, and the captains come out and say, we know what it means to the fans, etc. But come 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, they'll probably all go home and forget about it until they're back in train on Monday, irrespective of what the result is. But you do like to think that they realise the punishment that you can then put on your opposition fans then until your next play, and what you've got to suffer with. I've had dog's abuse off Tim since October. Just on that result, not based upon any other.
I'm coming off WhatsApp if we lose.
Few match insights to share with everybody. 3 about PNE, ranked 21 in goals scored per match. It's not a lot. PNE and Blackpool have not drawn any of the last 4 games against each other. I've just seen Preston unbeaten in 4 at home. Blackpool ranked 18th in goals scored per match, which is slightly better than Preston, which I was surprised with. Haven't won an away game in 11 matches, Tim. Doesn't bode well, really, does it?
It was the game after we beat Preston at home, Coventry. That was the last away win, and we
were on the crest of a wave at that time.
We felt quite positive, didn't we? Even with Appleton to a degree, and we could see a bit of a system, and we saw some reasonably attacking play, and then the wheels came off, I think is the expression, isn't it? I think it starts with all the illness that, because Coventry had a lot of players ill, and I think they passed it on to our lot. Patino, I think, got it and spread around, and all of a sudden the next game were quite a few players missing, and we never, we just went on this downward trajectory between then and the winter break, encapsulated by that awful result against Wigan, and then we've just been trying to play catch up ever since, without really getting past the go thing on the Monopoly board, because it's just every time we take one step forward, we take about 3 back. But with injuries, be it with players out of form, be it refereeing decisions, sendings off, which is an incredible number of sendings off, concussion injuries. It just goes on and on and on. And,
I don't think after the game in October, if you'd have said come 30th of March, you'd have had only one more away win. You'd be in the bottom 3, and we'd be 20 points ahead of you in the league. I think everyone would have said, put down what you're drinking there. No chance of that happening. It's astonishing, really. From our perspective as well, I don't think we could have seen an upturn in form that we've had in sitting 12th in the league after that performance that day.
Do you think your very faint hopes of reaching the playoffs are a hope, Tom, or is it just not on the cards for anyone involved at Preston that you might make a late charge for the playoffs? I guess if you do, this is a must-win game for you in that scenario.
Mathematically, we can, but when you look at the teams that are ahead, that are in the playoffs, Middlesbrough, they're on a charge. You've got Luton, Blackburn. I don't know how Blackburn are still up there. They
say that.
They seem to have been up there all season, and they went on a run of losing so many games. They've only drawn 4 all season, but they've had some good results lately.
Yeah, Millwall, 4 out of the last 5 they've won.
Yeah, Millwall and Norwich. The streets ahead of where we are. We're sitting 7 points behind at the minute. Yes, it's mathematically possible, but I don't see it happening. We're away at QPR next. We've then got Reading at home and Millwall away. So we have a fairly decent schedule if we wanted to put a run together. But then we have a tough finish to the season away at Swansea, Blackburn, come to Deepdale, and then away at Sheffield United. So I think if we were on a charge, we'd probably fall down later in the season. But you never know. It's
not like you lot, that is it?
It's a bonkers league, isn't it? It's an absolutely crazy division. I think who's in there at the minute? Middlesbrough, Luton, Blackburn, Millwall, all deserve to be there. I think any out of them could probably go up. Middlesbrough's probably looking the strongest, looking the favourites at the moment. But who's to say Millwall can't put a late charge? And they've got Tom Bradshaw's doing well. They've got a lad from midfield, a Dutch lad that they bought who was outstanding. He came to Preston, scored a hat-trick, actually. So they've got some good players and they're finding form. You've then got Norwich that are lurking. It's crazy.
What
West
about
Brom down in 9th?
What about the bottom of the table then, Tom? For purely objectively, who do you think is going to go down?
I think it's probably hard to argue against the 3 that are currently there. Rotherham and Cardiff both have a game. Obviously, that's that game that was abandoned. So, if, for instance, Cardiff were to win that rescheduled game, you're 5 points behind Rotherham as it stands. So, they've got the points on the board, but 8 games to go. If you win 4, does that give you enough points? 35, 45, 47. Is that enough to stay up? Possibly. But winning 4 when you've only won 5, what is it, all season?
Yeah,
is it
8 all
8
season,
wins all season.
We've got Wigan and Cardiff to come at home. If we turn you over, there's a chance, I think. So I think it's a pivotal
it's now,
game.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's now or never. Get some form going into those further games and try and build some momentum. Like when you won, was it 10 in a row all them years ago and flew through the playoffs.
Can't see us yet. We've got Luton over the Easter bank holiday weekend. I can't see us getting anything from that. So, with the
Norwich away last game as well, that'll be tough. They may need to win to get in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and you just crippled with injuries. I mean, it looks like you've only got Yates as a striker realistically for the rest of the season. I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Medine and Lavery's both done. So historically, you've probably had players available, and you have been scoring goals and maybe conceding, but there's just nothing sort of happening, which I was surprised about. I actually texted a friend, Steve, when they appointed Mick and thought, that's an annoying appointment now. That's quite sensible, really. And he might just give him that bounce, him and TC, getting them organised at the back, and they might be able to do fairly well. Big man, small man up front, perhaps, but it's just not had that impact. And from what I've seen and heard, and I've watched one or two of the podcasts, it's a bit like roulette, bingo. Who's he going to pick this week? And sitting back and not really going for teams when you really need to. You need to attack. You need to score goals because you need to stay up. So it's just not worked, has it? Sadly,
it was like the re-signing of Bowler. I was convinced that's the signing that's kept us up, but he's been absolutely dreadful under McCarthy.
Yeah, he had a poor game at Deepdale last time out, and I think it was just after the window, and I think there was a suggestion that he was sulking because he wasn't allowed the move. He obviously got the move later in the summer, but he's a shadow of what I think you had him in his pomp under Critchley. He just doesn't look, from what I've not watched him like you have, but certainly on the highlights, I think he's been in and out of the side.
We haven't seen him very much because he spent a lot of time on the bench.
No, where's he been playing him when he has played him?
He started off playing him central, which, you know, if you're going to play him, it's out wide. That's where his strengths lie. So he realised that eventually, and he was talking about he needs to do the other side of the game and track back and put a shift in. And it was like, I get it, but that's not really Josh Bowler's strength. It's get him on the wing, and he can be frustrating, but he can also be your match winner.
Maybe it's the game for him, Nick. Maybe this is the game.
Like I say, we're at a point where something's got to happen, and it needs to be attacking football. So you never know. Fingers crossed.
Right, Tom. Just before you head off, we'll go around the room and give match predictions for the game. As you're the guest, we'll let you go first. I'm guessing you're not going to say Blackpool are going to win.
No. On the one hand, I think it will probably be a terrible, awful 0-0. But I'm not going to say that. I'm going to go that we have enough, and I think the players need to get out of their system the defeat in October. So I'm going to say that we win it 3-1.
Tim, normally very pessimistic in your predictions, but you are fully justified in the vast majority of them. What's in your gut going into this vital West Lancashire derby? Shaking his head. For the benefit of the audio.
Can't see Blackpool win, unfortunately. I would love it to quote Kevin Keegan if we did it, but realistically, I just see a 2-0 defeat. And I think it's going to be shit to watch. It's going to be shit weather. We're going to be kept back for an hour and a half after the game. And we're going to have like the biggest, well, it's not a hangover, but you know what I mean? I'm just going to feel like shit for the rest of the day, the rest of the weekend. So there you go.
Hard to argue, Nick. Your thoughts?
I'm going to, though, because I can't bring myself to say that they're going to beat us. So it's going to be a pretty drab game, pouring down.
Is the weather forecast for rain as well?
Yeah, we're going to score from a corner, and it's going to be 1-0 to us.
Based on what Tom said about them setting up with 5 at the back, Mick McCarthy doesn't know how to attack. I think it'll be a stalemate, as Mike Manley's just said, a 0-0 snore fest. So I'm gonna go with that as well. But fingers crossed it's not, and fingers crossed we come out with all 3 points and we go on that amazing run and stay up. Hey, Tom.
Well, I'll miss you next season, won't I?
Right, Tom, on that note, as ever, thanks for joining us and giving your insight. And yeah, may the best team win tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be us.
Saturday.
Yes, it's Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, guys. Safe trip to anyone that's going, and let's have no silliness.
Yeah. You can come back on if you lose. If you win, you can fuck off.
Well, I will happily come on either way. So I couldn't make it last time because of some family commitments, but I would have been happy to come on, even though we were.
I think you came on after your previous other defeat, didn't you? So fair play for facing that up. So yeah, right. Thanks a lot, Tom.
It's only football at the end of the day, isn't it? But we've got to win. We have to beat you. We have to send you down.
Revenge
Cheers,
for the
gents.
3-0 Tom Pickering hat-trick.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Those of a certain vintage. Right. Cheers, Tom.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
See you,
Thanks
mate.
a lot.
See you later. Right, gentlemen. Let's pick our team to win this game, shall we? On the very scarce resources that we've got. So, Nick, what formation are we looking at, given the players available? What did he play against QPR? Just trying to think. Was it a 4-3-3?
It was more like a 4-2-3-1, wasn't it?
3-1, yeah.
Although Rodgers was sort of pushed up a bit.
Yeah, it kind of changed a bit, didn't it? Which I think it might be something possibly similar on Saturday.
Let's assume we're going. Let's go for that then. Right, Tim. Let's start with the goalkeeper. As you mentioned earlier, we've not done the Coventry reaction pod. There's a bit of illness in the camp. Maxwell punching one into his own goal almost set the precedent for the rest of the game. And me personally, I don't want to see him flapping anymore. Never comes for crosses, so I want to see a change. I want to see a positive change, and I want to see Grimmy back in.
Yeah. Manna to my ears, that, John. I'm 100% with you.
Richard, yeah. Richard says, got to be Grimmy.
It won't be, but I'd like it to be. Although it's a good while since he's played now, isn't it?
Yeah, he might have anything. He's got a bit rusty.
Mm.
When was the last time he played?
It must be.
He hasn't played under Mick, has he, at all?
No.
Everyone in the comments, please know Maxwell. Richard Watts obviously said it's got to be Grimmy. Matthew Warrender, Grimmy. We can't have Stuart Moore, can we? My boy.
No.
Gone off on loans. Is it Doncaster? Where's he gone?
Doncaster, yeah, I think he had a mare on his debut, didn't he?
Surely not.
Let a bit of a shocker in, I think.
Another comment, Dave Coleman, but it was Max Sadley. Lankslad Productions, PNE fan, please, yes. Flaps well.
He definitely lived up to his name against Coventry, Lankslad.
Stick Grimmy in, Mick. Never will, but he's our pick. In he goes. Okay, Nick, right back.
Lions.
We've got Gabriel as well, remember?
Yes. Lions.
We want to go for it. So let's... Do you not think we should have Lions left back? Gabriel right back?
Well, that's to me, that's like the biggest no-brainer.
What about a?
You've got to play all your best players, haven't you? We've got to play our best players, and we've got to try and fit them in. And Lions regularly plays left back or left midfield.
We've got to win this game, basically.
Well, the fullback, they're not really fullbacks, are they? The wing backs of this system, because he'll play a defensive midfielder who'll sit in front of the back to effectively to create three at the back. So those two wide players the two fullbacks will effectively be wing backs in the game.
Should we change it to a 3-5-2 then?
I don't think it quite looks like that, but you could do. But I mean, all I'm saying is that they are in that system. If he's going to play a very, very defensive midfield that's going to sit in front of the back two, then that does give license to fullbacks to push on. What you mean? Yeah. And so you want the ones who are actually going to really get forward.
Yeah, we've got to go for it, haven't we? We've got to go for it.
The way that's set up, there's so much space for them.
Gabriel and Lions, then. We happy with that?
Yeah.
Right, who've we got available at centre half? Let's assume
it'll be Thornley and Nelson, won't it? And he said Thornley's fine, so I don't see any reason why he wouldn't bring him back in.
You down with that, Tim?
Yeah. So he's caught me having a little slurp of juice. So yes, 100%.
Freddie Gaskin can't play two attacking fullbacks. Why not?
Of course you can.
I don't think he will.
No, he won't, Nick, but yeah. into midfield.
Now, I've got to say, and he's one of his, I'm in his fan club, life president, and fully behind Kenny, but I thought he was absolutely garbage.
Worst I've ever seen him play against Coventry.
Oh, he was dreadful. The one thing you can say is he couldn't possibly play like that again.
I don't think Connolly was great either last game.
No.
I think was it a coincidence that those two had an absolute shocker and we played really as poorly as we did against Coventry? And maybe it was just a bad day at the office for the pair of them.
We didn't play that badly in the first half, but Dougal, obviously, Dougal comes on, doesn't he, when who goes off in the first... Is it when Thornley goes off? I can't remember what happens now.
Yeah.
And rather than bring a fullback on and move Hub inside, he brings Dougal on, doesn't he? And it just didn't work anyway. I could understand what he was trying to do, but so that does call into question for me as to whether Dougal starts. But I think he'll just play one of Connolly and Dougal, and I think Connolly will get the shirt on the basis of Dougal's performance.
Connolly goes in there for me.
And that'll be the player who sits just in front of those back two and effectively plays a very, very defensive role, which is the reason I've lost him now. Whoever it was says we can't play two attacking fullbacks. You can if you have a very deep line central midfield player.
Mark GT, don't agree with the back four. Husband has to play on the left. Right back.
Well, that's what I was thinking when I said Lions. Because Lions his goals have come from playing on the right, haven't they? So it's not like the
goals for us, but he scored for Ireland and Shamrock Rovers on the left. It's not.
Yeah,
it's like saying if somebody always plays right midfield, they won't score goals if you put them on the left. You don't know until you try it. But we do know that the Lions have scored plenty of goals from left midfield and from left fullback with his other clubs. Just hasn't played there for us.
But I get what Mark's saying about Husband, but he's not an attacking outlet, is he? We have to win this game. Playing for a draw is not going to work.
Harry is saying he's a right back. He's a left back and a right back, Harry.
Yeah.
He's just played right back for us. But if you don't really want listen. I agree. I don't think he'll do it. But in my team, I won't want to see one of Gabriel or Lyons sat on the bench when there are two best attacking fullbacks and we need to attack. It doesn't make any sense.
Let's move on to the number 10 role then, because that could be key. Keshi's back, obviously. Is there an argument to chuck him in from the start? Give him 60 minutes?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, there's an argument too whether he will or not. I mean, how much football has he had now? It's not very much, is it? I suspect he will be on the bench coming on from the bench. If you know what I mean.
Marcus is Husband is horrible. You play him in this game. I know what you're saying.
Well, again, that was my thoughts. It's his type of game.
I know what you're saying.
Well, that's the point about Keshi as well. It's Ramadan, and do you remember that was it last year or the year before when it was Ramadan?
He was really out of sorts, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Although it's early in the day, isn't it? So, because you get the reality is you get very hungry, don't you? And as a sportsman, you need to be on top form.
Well, he will be fasting, and the sun comes up at 6, so you can't. I suppose if he has a massive meal as soon as he gets up. This is hard.
It is very hard, actually. The more you think about
it. We know Yates is up front, don't we? Get him in.
I think it might be a game for Carey. He's got a bit of fire in his belly. And he's showed some attacking threat recently. But what about Rodgers in that? Rodgers sort of
almost played up with Yates, didn't he, in that sort of number 10 role? And I thought he did a really good job.
What about Bowler on the right, Rodgers on the left?
I think he's going to play CJ. I know it's not. It's the team we want to see, but actually,
Would you play him?
still.
Would you play CJ? I wouldn't.
I'd never play CJ, but that's. But to be fair, I've been called. I've been proven wrong on a couple of occasions.
Yeah.
But
what about this? I'm playing Bowler. This is his game. This is going to be Bowler's game. Who we playing him with Connolly? Stick Dukes in. Oh, Fiorini.
Yeah.
Is Fiorini fit?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, forgotten about him. Right, in he goes. Are we 100% happy with this?
I'm not sure about Carey or Bowler.
And I'd still play Lions and Husband, but I'm outvoted. And I don't think he'll play Bowler.
Would you play Bowler?
I know we've said we've got to play attacking football, but he's been really, really out of sorts, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I've not really seen anything.
But Nick, he can just produce.
Oh, he can.
Spark.
He can.
He can play shit for 40 minutes, and all of a sudden he's created and scored a goal.
Yeah.
Is there an argument to play Lyons and Gabriel on that right hand side together?
What, Lyons in an advanced role?
Or one of them, or Gabriel in the advanced role, doesn't matter who it is, but that caused their left back a few problems, wouldn't it?
I think this is a game for Carey. He's got a goal in him.
Well, Patino played quite well against Cov, to be fair. In fact, him and Fiorini were doing all right until they both got yanked after 60 minutes.
We could be here all night. My back's killing.
It's
probably the most difficult selection of all season, isn't it? Because you want to go at them. But it's how you get. I don't think Bowler makes the court.
Who are you playing there then?
Well, you could be.
What about this then?
You could move Rodgers over to the right and play CJ on the left, couldn't you?
What about Lions there? Bobby.
That's not happening.
I think Gabriel might end up dropping out, and I think Lions might end up in right back.
Yeah.
I think Patino's going to play.
Yeah.
I think Patino's going to play.
Yeah, but Tim, as I keep saying.
Yeah, no, but I want.
Do you want him to play? Do we want him to play?
Well, I sort of do. I thought he did pretty well.
As long as it's not, when it's been Carey, Patino, and Dougal, it hasn't worked, has it? So as long as it's not that.
I mean, for me, if you're putting Husband in then and you're going for more of a flat back four, I'd drop Connolly out and put Patino in for him.
Actually. Yeah.
Because I'm playing Connolly because we're playing two attacking fullbacks as cover. So I'd be tempted to, because Fiorini and Patino did so well.
Patino will just float around in a game like this, like he normally does. I don't think it's the game for him.
Well, you've got Andy Lyons in twice at the moment, so we need to do something. I mean, I know he's good, but
what about Paveda in the 10?
Well, yeah, but it's pointless in it because he's not getting anywhere near.
Oh God!
I actually think what's going to happen is Rodgers going to play on that right, and I think CJ's playing on the left. I think that's and I actually don't think we're too far off the starting team, and I think Patino's going to be in for Connolly. That's if I'm trying to guess what's got the team that's actually going to start. And I do think Patino will play because I think him and Farini seem to play quite well together.
It doesn't get in my team.
Who?
Patino. I'm not picking him.
John's taking his ball home.
No, I just don't think he's good enough. He's floats
He
around.
hasn't been. But
he's slow. Doesn't track back. Doesn't seem arsed half the game. Just not good enough. Could be this game when Bowler comes good and potential match winner. Yes, it could, Doug.
Right, we're leaving it like that then.
I think we've had to have an armistice, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris makes a good point. He's not like to drop Connell as his captain, is he?
No. Well, that midfield's got a bit of steel and it's got the
creativity,
fleet-footedness and creativity of Fiorini, hasn't it? Carey's got fire in his belly. I like Carey. He's not afraid to shoot, and he could pop one in on Saturday. Bowler's drinking at the Last Chance Saloon, I think.
Yeah.
Let's hope he responds. But Bowler's a big-time player, and I think he'll do something. Right, that's the team then, yeah?
Go on then.
Stick with that. Right, anything else to add before we go?
We've done the predictions, haven't we? So, fingers crossed. What are we all doing, by the way, for pre-match and stuff? Are you driving, John?
I'm driving, yeah. I'm going to park near Moore Park and then walk down. I might just get a pint in the ground.
Yeah.
That'd be easiest. What are you doing? What are you two doing?
We're on the coach, so I don't know what your pre-match.
Yeah, I'm not really.
There's
There's an Ashley solution which I'll keep off here, so because I don't know whether he wants everybody to know what is suggested, but I'll message you about that. Or spoons, innit? It's the good old spoons breakfast and pint with it.
Cheer up, lads. You look like you've just received a text. Mark, it's the stress of having to pick that team, and it's the stress of shit or bust against PNE on Saturday, because I think we don't win, and if we lose, it's season over, isn't it?
But if we win, this is why we go, isn't it? This is what football's about. It'll be one of those great memories. I'm going to say in our old age, in our current age, when we were. It's part of the Great Escape. Starts on Saturday. Come on,
singing the Great Escape in the 90th minute when we're 3-0 up. Has a certain.
It'll be up there. It'll be up there, won't it?
It would be up there with the Wes and Charlie and no doubt 1970. Yeah. It? Come on, boys, we can do it.
Come on, Pool, we can do this. Come on, the Pool. Let's beat these knobbers. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for downloading. And up the Pool. Come on, boys. Up the Pool.
Up the Pool.